So hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Xiant again, more Splinter Cell Blacklist. This time we're on the mercenary side and you're going to see me wandering around aimlessly with my flashlight off, placing mines in random locations and generally just shooting some spies in their faces. Now the first thing I want to talk about is something that kind of bugs me about this game. As a merc, you should feel powerful but paranoid. Know that there's always a spy around the corner trying to shoot you, but you shouldn't feel as though you're very vulnerable to them. Even though there's a ton of verticality on these maps and the spies have a lot of that on you, you shouldn't feel like every single step you take is going to be your last. Problem being, the spies have enough health, and just enough to sponge about 4 or 5 bullets from medium range. And if they sponge 4 or 5 bullets from medium range, they're out of there. They're gone. You can't see them anymore. And especially in classic mode, where it's much, much darker, much more focused on the sound aspect of the game, not the visual. And flashlights suddenly become much more important to use and to not use depending on the situation. But because spies can sponge these bullets, they can take a few shots and then get the crossbow shot off on you. And then you're stunned for a lot longer than it would take you to kill them, and they end up slicing your throat off. But this is the second round of the gameplay you saw I posted yesterday, and yes, it is a little longer, but that's mostly because the merc side is a little more action-packed, a little more tense, because I feel as though when you're a merc, the shadow is your enemy. Suddenly, darkness is the most frightening thing that you can face. Whereas if you're a spy, of course, you have night vision goggles, it's not that big a deal, but as a merc, everything is dark, everything is shadowy, and the first-person perspective changes absolutely everything. And so today I want to talk strategy. I want to talk about how to maximize your awareness in the first-person view when, as a spy, you are very much dependent on the third-person view. The first sense you really want to work is your hearing. You want to be able to know directionally where they are, both vertically and horizontally. Are they in the vents above you, or are they in the tunnels below you? Are they to your left, are they to your right, diagonal northwest or northeast? Which direction are they coming from? And then you need to start using the radar at the bottom. Because the game is still somewhat new, good and bad players are having some trouble figuring out how far sound travels in the various modes. As a merc, your job is to know, both visually and auditorially, which way the spies are coming from. And the best way to do that, a lot of the times, is just to stand still. When the hack is going on, smart spies, especially smart hackers, will stay relatively motionless. Because they know that you're listening for them, they know that you're looking for them. But their teammates sometimes will not be so silent, and sometimes their teammates can, in fact, lead you straight to where the hacker is. Again, good spies won't necessarily do that. Now, as a merc, you do know who is the hacker and who is not. And you know that if you kill the not hacker, the hack is not going to stop. However, you want to remove as many threats as you possibly can to yourself. And removing the not hacker spy has a twofold effect. First of all, it removes a threat for about 15 seconds. But secondly, and as you'll see in this gameplay, it causes some spies to panic and say, oh, he's going to find me next, he's going to find me really, really soon, I need to move. And that movement is their downfall, because suddenly the ball is in your court, where once the spies were the threat, the thing you have to be paranoid about. Now you are in control. The spies are the ones that are paranoid. The spies are the ones that are panicking and making quick decisions. When in Spies vs. Mercs, any mode really, you don't want to make quick decisions. You want to make calculated decisions, and there is a large difference. Now, calculated decisions can be quick, but the two are mutually exclusive. And if you take your time as a merc, if you do not rush into every situation, but you take some time to assess, spend the first 50 to even to 60% listening, watching, waiting, you will outwit the spies. You will outdo the spies, and you will make them make decisions that they will regret. Because paranoia works both ways. If the spy isn't sure of what you're going to do, then suddenly he has to start guessing. If the merc doesn't know what the spy is going to do, he has to start guessing. And so the calculated movement that's done by listening, by watching, and by waiting, and by simply letting the events play out before you rather than causing events to play out instead. Like I said yesterday, spies are proactive, Mercs are reactive, and so let that reactivity be your weapon. Do not go around running headlong into a trap that you know is a trap just because you... Instead, use the patience you develop as a spy, as a merc, and try to think like the spy. Make the roles flip. Make the spy be reactive where you are proactive. Turn your flashlight off. Walk in. Listen, I guess I cannot stress enough how important it is to be patient and to listen for your enemies, because especially in classic mode, you will always be able to hear them if they're moving. Radar notwithstanding, if you're not looking in the right direction, the radar doesn't work. But radar notwithstanding, you will always hear them if your ears are keen enough. But then there are those times when you absolutely have to rush in. Time is of the essence. If you don't get this final point, that you will make a draw or you will lose. So, how do you play it then? Again, patience. If you know you have the advantage in terminals hacked, keep in mind the percentage you are ahead of them. If it's 100 and 100 versus 150, you have plenty of time. And at the last minute, if you have to pull out something, pull out a draw. But in the end game, when the clock is at 0 and the hack is still going, the spies are going to expect you to rush in, to go looking, to go hunting, with this vim and vigor that you didn't have in the rounds before. Defy their expectations with your patience and your resoluteness. Do not give an inch. You will always be rewarded, sometimes unduly, for this level of control that most spies don't expect mercs to have. And then, at the end of the game, you'll be able to do a little victory dance with your partner, and everyone will be happy. Except the spies, because they're dead.